morning to one and all. This is Dr. P. Lavanya, working as Associate Professor in MBA Department in Aeronautical Engineering, Dundigal. So, in the last session, we have seen regarding the different types of production functions, which relates to short-run production function and also the long-run production function, and various factors affecting the short-run and long-run production function. So along with that, as we have seen in the short run and long run production function, we have seen that where in the short run we have only one variable was changed and all other factors were fixed. But when you comes under the long run, based upon the time period where the time will be more, so we are able to change all factors of production. So in this case, we have taken one as a changeable in short run. But when you comes from the long run, we have taken all factors as a changeable and identify the differentiation relating to the input and output relation. So along with this production analysis, we have another two concepts which comes across the production analysis. That are the ISO-quant and ISO-cost. So here ISO means equal, where we can say like quant means quantity. Means whatever the combination of inputs in the production analysis, we want equal quantity to be produced irrespective of the multiplicity of the combination of input and output. So at the same way, an ISO-quant means it shows all combination of the factors that produces a certain output. Means what are the combination? Maybe last we have seen in the short run production function and also in the long run production function, we have changed the combinations. Maybe labor and capital. So we have taken the different combination. Yes. So when these combinations are changed, we are able to identify there. So maybe the production was increased at a certain level. After that, we got some constancy, and after that, maybe we increased the inputs also. The production starts declining. But here, whatever the combinations means, maybe you take two items, maybe the capital and labor. These two items, maybe one may increase or other may decrease. But I want the desired output here. Desired in the sense, already I have estimated that I want 10,000 units to be produced. So whatever you do, I don't know. But you increased some quantity of labor, you decreased maybe the capital, whatever, but I require this 10,000 units. So this type of production combination, we can call it like ISO-quant. And the next one comes as ISO-cost. ISO means as an equal, we can say that is equal. Cost means normal cost. So an ISO-quant shows all combination of the factors that gives the same amount of output. Means here the cost must and should be the same. So above ISO-quant, I have told you the equal quantity. The amount what we are producing, it must and should be equal. Here, whatever the desired cost I have been identified. For example, I want in 1 lakh rupees, I want to produce, yes, 10,000 units. So, however, whatever you do in case of labor, raw material, whatever you want to do, you do that one. But the cost should not be exceed more than the 1 lakh rupees. So that type of combination, we used to call it as ISO-cost. So these ISO-cost and ISO-quants are the two types of production functions which shows us the optimum combination of factors of production. Means optimum means which up to which level I can combine any two factors or any three factors in the production such that these combination must and should give me what is my desired output at minimum cost. Means whatever you go for combining, maybe 10 units of labor, maybe 5 units of capital, maybe you increase labor, decrease labor. But what you done is, I require the maximum output, maybe 10,000 units of output required at 1 lakh rupees. That is the minimum cost. So such type of production function, which is very much useful in case of decision making or in the managerial economics for the business firms, when these firms want to supply the quantity of goods and services to the external things, maybe some sort of imports, exports, then automatically this type of production function was very useful. So when we go regarding the detailed analysis of isocont, then afterwards we can go for the analyzation of iso cost. Then by combination of these two, we are able to get the maximum output. So the definition of the isocont is an isocont shows all the combinations of two factors of production in a given output. Means any combination, that is two factors. Maybe you can take labor or maybe the capital, whatever the combination you take, increase or decrease. But I want the desired, whatever I required output. So here, as we know, iso means equal, quantity means quantity. So it is called as equal quantity. So the detailed analysis of isocont we can see with the help of a small graphical representation. As here we have taken on the x-axis as a capital and on the y-axis we have taken as a labor. So here it shows the isocont this is a curve which was showing us the different combinations, means what are the different capital and labor combination, which the desired output what we required is 4,000 units. So particularly we can see here, in case of labor, when I have taken 20 units of the labor, we have taken 20 units of capital. Maybe the capital was decreased, maybe it comes to the 10 units and I have taken the 30 units of labor. Means here the capital was decreased and more amount of the labor was introduced. But there is no change to my desired output. So this we has to take into the consideration other factors of the production should be optimal. And those factors we has to consider that the changes may be done with these two but our output should not be decreased or increased. Whatever we require, that output we has to get. This is a small example of an isocont curve. So as we have seen in the above diagram, we have seen the labor and all other, and the curve what we have taken is total productivity, the physical product, that is TPP. So which was shown in the 4,000 units. So as I explained that 20 and 18 labor taken, 9 capital and 35 labor was taken. Means first one is, as we have seen the above combination here, 20 to 10. It is an labor capital intensive, means more capital was taken and less labor was taken. But when you comes under the second type of combinations, where you can say it is in a labor intensive, as more labor was taken and the capital has been increased. So whatever you have done, but we have to achieve the only 4,000 total physical production. That must and should be taken into the consideration. Maybe it is a capital intensive or labor intensive. As this curve was in a convex shape, as we have seen it was in this convex shape, it is because of law of marginal rate of technical substitution. Means this is related to the MRTS, law of marginal rate of technical substitution, which means these diminishing returns for using more of one factor of production. Here we can identify that there we can able to occur the diminishing returns, means when one factor is used more up to the certain level, means the saturation point was reached. After that also we have started using the one factor, increasing that one factor, we are able to get an diminishing, means decreasing returns we are able to produce, which was given in this marginal rate of technical substitution. So marginal rate of technical substitution, it's one of the example or one of the factor which says that one factor, for example K, has been taken or replaced by the factor L, means capital has been replaced by the labor, If 2 units of the capital was replaced with 1 unit of the labor, then MRS, that is marginal substitution, will be 2. Means what type of replacement is done? That we removed 2 there and we have taken another 2 in the labor. So that units we used to call as marginal rate of substitution. So along with this, we are able to see this marginal rate of substitution in the diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Means where we are able to identify here the increase or the decrease of these capitals, whatever are there. So we are able to see that decreasing means decreasing down. So increasing amount of the labor. Once this labor has been increased, where the capital will have to be reduced. So when these point of increasing 1 unit and another capital was reduced, but the amount of the capital needed but at a decreasing rate. Means maybe I increase the labor, but I can't eliminate the capital there. So I require some more. Maybe not of 2 units, maybe 1 unit or 0.5%, some capital is required. I can't eliminate totally capital there. So that's why, so maybe we are increasing the labor intensive, but the capital proportion is required. So while decreasing this capital proportion and increasing this labor, here we are able to identify this diminishing rate in case of this diminishing marginal substitution. And so here we can say that once when we identify these combination of this marginal rate of substitution, for example, if an employee was taken from 2 points of labor and 40, what is the reference of this graph, we can explain saying that when 2 units of labor was taken and 40 units of capital, we employ 1 extra worker was enabled to save it by 10 units of capital. This is quite an efficient saving as the firm has to pay extra worker, but we saves the cost of 40. Means only by increasing, we are paying a little bit extra to the worker, but we are saving the 40 rupees or the 40k in the amount of capital. So however, at the combination of 9 labor, employees or extra workers and enabled to save of only 2 capital. Therefore, more than the workers are employed there, we are able to identify that diminishing. So where we are having that 10 to 12 to 10. Yes. So diminishing returns, you are able to identify there. So which is a substitution for another factor. So at this point, we are able to identify that where more workers bravely saves the capital. Means we are giving less amount, means where we are able to identify the cheapest labor, where we can get more labor with a less payment. So this is when diminishing rate of labor is very high and worker efficiently getting each and the other way. So this is possible that only when we are able to find out any one factor, maybe the labor, which is at a cheapest rate, where we can identify. If all are costly, we can't go for this type of diminishing marginal rate of technical substitution. As one moves, this isocount output remains the same. So whatever we are multiplying here, what we are substituting one for the other, here I am able to consider about the substitution factor, one increasing and other decreasing, means saving of the capital, and we are getting the more labor to work in order to achieve the desired result. So that based, we are able to see that MPP, that is labor is multiplied with the capital, that is change in the labor by change in the capital, able to identify the marginal rate of technical substitution. By this above graph and also the explanation, we are able to identify this marginal rate of technical substitution in case of these isocount. So simply we can see in the graph, whatever the combination, means one organization, when they are going for the production, we don't estimate only one type of graph or the one production. So we go on implementing, maybe taking decision at 1.5, what is the graph? Amount of the capital and labor required, maybe 1.4, 3, 2, 1. So we used to have any different types of isoquants. So such that which is in a very optimum or which is very important or where I think that feasibility, which is adequate to my level of production. That level, maybe 1.5 or 1.3 or 1.1, that one I'll select. So the first itself, planning itself, I don't say that 1.3 is an accurate isocont map or the production. So we go for estimation of 2 to 3 equal quantity maps. Out of that, based upon the convenient of the labor or the capital or the factors of the production, we are able to identify any one graph where we are able to get equal quantity, whatever the types of combination. So when I say this 1.5, we are able to have this total physical productivity is 5,000. When it is of 1.4, the total physical productivity may be of 4,000. So maybe it of 1.3, in the short run we can say it is an a lesser, that is total productivity leads to the 3,000 units. So in the short, the firm prices means an organization has to trade off along one particular isocont, means 1 to 3 to 4 isocont when I have been installed based upon the conveniability or required or what we got, that is convenience of the capital and also labor, we'll choose any one of the isocont map. But in the long run, this is trade-off, means one or another which is required to the organization, we can go for trading off. But when you comes in the long run, as the organization must and should invest a lot of capital, stock and higher the productivity. So here they produces at higher output for the same quantity of labor. So in this way these isocont maps has been given, or we can analyze in case of short run and also in the long run. And the next point comes under the iso cost. So what is already we have seen, isocont means equal quantity. And also we gave an introduction that iso means equal, cost means cost. So equal cost. So it shows the all the combination of the factors that says have the same cost, means whatever the quantity you want to produce, already we decide some amount of the cost. Within that cost only, we must and should go for the production. So the cost should not increase or it should not exceed based on our expectation. Means we have expected maybe 1 lakh rupees. So whatever the combination you go, the labor combination or other combination, but these 1 lakh should not be exceeded. So here we can identify these iso cost curve which slopes in the diagram where you are able to see it is also slanting from top to down. So in this example, when the unit of labor and capital, where the cost we can identify like 6,666 each. If an employee works for 30 units of capital and 30 units of the labor, the total cost you are able to pay is 20 plus 20, that is 2 lakhs plus 2 lakhs, that is equal to 4 lakhs. But if employee pays 10 units of capital and 50 units of labor, then he has to pay only the 4 lakhs. Means whatever the combination, maybe 30 units of capital, 30 units of the labor, here it is also 4 lakhs. But at the same way, I have increased the capital and increased the labor and decreased the capital. Then also I have to pay the 4 lakhs. So in this way, the combination of these two factors, the cost lies will be the same. The cost will not be changes, whatever the combination of capital and also the labor. So here you can identify the tangency of these iso cost when we are charging with the labor. So by the above example, we can initially take the cost of labor and the capital, both may be of 5,000 units. So where we are able to see that the 60L, that is 60 units of capital, which is equal to 60 into 5,000, we are able to get a 3 lakh units of output cost. However, if labor cost arises to 10,000 units, means where we are able to identify that the labor was increasing. Means where when we have been identified in case of isoquant, where the labor is the cheapest one. But here, when we identified in case of isocost, we are able to see that labor is the costliest one and we can get in the cheapest amount of capital. Means at a less amount of interest rate, organization is able to get the capital. So in this analysis, we can see that as the labor cost was increased from 5,000 to the 10,000 and the shift was taken and this curve by keeping that the cost will not be changing, that is 3 lakhs. So this firm could not only employ 30 workers, 30 into 10,000 you can go for 3 lakhs of rupees. Means last cents I have taken 60 laborers but their cost or the payment is only 5,000. So we have the total cost of 3 lakhs. But here the labor is costly and the capital is cheap for us. Then automatically the cost of the individual labor rise to 10,000 and maybe we decrease the labor, that is 30 units of labor into 10,000 but the cost is 3 lakhs. So here the slope of the ISO cost is P1 by, that is PL, that is productivity of the labor by productivity of the capital. So when we have been identified these ISO cost and ISO quant, so we want this maximization of the profits. So what is the maximization of the profits? So a firm wish to produce at a point of possible ISO quant and a minimum possible of ISO cost. Means here the profit motive of the organization reveals us that where it want to decrease the cost. Means cost must and should be minimum. And with this minimum cost, organization want to increase the output. It want to increase the output. Means cost possibly what are the ways or the methods we can find. So with that possible cost, we should decrease the cost and minimization of the cost should be there with the help of these ISO cost. And what are the possible ways or the points are there where we can increase the production with this less cost, that is called as the possible combination or the profit maximization of the organization. So we'll club both these ISO cost and ISO quant and we can see in this graph. As we know, ISO quant, that is in a tangent curve. Yes, that's a sloping from, this is like a convex curve. As we have seen, different types of curves or the different types of ISO cost are given. Why? Because I want an equal output. So whatever the combination you have, I want 4,500, 4,000, 3,000, somewhat. I have given 2 to 3 types of ISO quant. But where I am getting the important thing here is the cost utilization. So for that one, where I am able to get in a minimum cost, means lowest cost, that is the ISO cost curve. So which one, that is which quant curve, that is which TPP is intersected by these ISO cost, that is called as a least cost combination point. This point where the ISO quant intersected the ISO cost line. Means on this graph where we have seen, this is ISO cost line. Yes. So this ISO cost line, which one is intersecting? Maybe that intersecting point, we used to call it as an least cost combination point, which will gives us maximum profit within a least cost. So the above example, what we have seen in the ISO cost or the ISO quant, we have seen the 3 types of curves. With this only 4,000 unit curve has been intersected the ISO cost line. So where we can say that equal cost and equal quantity, we are able to identify at 30 units of capital with 30 units of labor. So when we have been identified that the 30 units of capital as an benchmark and 30 units of labor taken, where we can get a desired ISO quantity, that is equal quantity curve, along with that least cost, means the cost will also be what is our convenient. Maybe I thought of 30,000 rupees or 3 lakhs. So that 3 lakhs convenient cost, I am able to get this one, that is called as the least cost or the maximization of the profits. So with these, you are able to identify these least cost. So what I have been explained, which we can show in the graph, is called, that is maximizing the profitization, called as least cost, means the cost is less and production is more. So at that point, the organizations was as unable to take the decisions relating to the any sort of production analysis decisions. So if any requirement is there, they has to go for these least cost. So at which point? So they have already have an analysis of cost and they have an already analysis of quantities. So they will find out that at what cost, at what quantity we can produce, which gives us a desired or good profits for the organization. So this way of checking means this ISO cost and ISO quant, it's one way of seeking the maximum or targeted output. So we can say like 4,000, which finds the ISO cost, means least cost with the lowest possible case of maybe 4,000, 4 lakh rupees. So the TPP touching means the total physical productivity in the above example has been touched at 4 lakhs rupees, saying at 4,000 units. So finally we can say that concluding as this ISO count or ISO cost. So this point at which we are able to identify this less cost or maximum output received is tough for both the cases. Why? Because it cannot be worked in a short run or a single production units. So large based production units want to give at a lesser cost more varieties of production or more amount of the goods. So when the production units or the production was very large, then automatically, as already I have said, in case of this long run production, we are able to enjoy the economies of the scales. So certain advantages we are able to enjoy. If that advantages are enjoyed, then automatically the production will increases. So when the production goes on increasing, the organizational primary aim or the objective is to minimize the cost. Means the cost must and should be decreases. Then only they are able to provide cheapest goods or the cheapest articles as a less price. So for this decision making for any organization, this ISO quant and ISO cost and least cost point, that is the least cost method of production, means the point where the organization will get the least cost point, which will maximizes the profits of the organization. So with this we have the references, and thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.